the election is on. Thank you for your question. I look forward to answering.
Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. So, 5 segments, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, 1 guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. This is maybe a multiple cocktail week. How are you,
I feel like it's many cocktails. I'm doing well. I'm not as tired as I normally am. I had time to put on a little to make myself presentable for everyone in the audience tonight. And however long this lives on Facebook or whatever. What are we on? YouTube? On YouTube. Oh, by the way, everybody, we have a subscribe button. I know everyone here subscribes. The join button next to it is where you get into the membership tiers. And we've got some special stuff coming for you. We'll save it for the announcements. But we are working hard, like we said we were. What are you drinking tonight, Greg Oliar?
I'm drinking a Manhattan because that's what I drink. I think now, especially that winter has set in, which here in New York it has. Yeah. The brown liquor is the way to go, I think. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm having my refreshing soda, sparkling water with pomegranate juice. This is what I do. I feel like it's a little wintry because of the pomegranate. I'm not sure. But I will tell everyone a little secret. I did have half of a Manhattan earlier with my girlfriend who stopped by. I'd never had one before. And of course, we have those really fine cherries. And so we made little tiny Manhattans and had a little sip. So
like the Bronx, it's like, Tribeca then, because it's a tiny part of Manhattan.
It's a little tiny. It's a little tiny.
It's a Soho, something like that. I get it. Like that. Okay, so there's a lot of things that happened this week to the point where trying to whittle down our list to 5 was almost impossible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we're not going to cover. We're not going to cover 5th, even though, that happened today. They're going to refer, or they're considering referring some of these guys to DOJ.
Yeah.
And by they, I mean the J6 committee. And Eastman's on the list. And so we might hear 5th quite a bit.
We're going to hear a lot of 5ths. Here, take a drink. You said it.
Yeah, we have. So, as we know, this is now a drinking game.
It's now a drinking time. Every time someone pleads a 5th, we take a drink. Our livers are not going to this.
Another story we're not going to get to is this thing that happened in Germany. I think hopefully we'll come back to it when we learn more. Yeah. But one of the guys involved was this lesser royal named Heinrich XIII. Which sounds like if I were writing like a sci-fi book, it would be on the Snorkeler Mastodon instance. Heinrich XIII is the ruler,
I think
I don't know.
Yeah, this is tailor-made for you. I saw that and I was like, oh boy, great. This is perfect for you. You can go medieval on this guy. I want to hear all about it.
There's so many Heinrich. There's more than one Heinrich XIII, apparently, because I tried to do the old wiki thing, and I got a Heinrich XIII of a different part of Germany from the 18th century, which I don't think this is the same guy, because if he is, he's a vampire, and we're all fucked. So, yeah. Cinema. Go ahead.
There's just vampires and werewolves, oh my. And the full moon last night. It was...
yeah, maybe that was what it was. Kirsten Sinema, we don't need to talk about that. That's really a nothing burger. She's just, doesn't want to hang out with us anymore. Fine, whatever. Go. I think she needs to be cast as the new owner in season 12 of Ted Lasso, and then we can all move on with our lives. I think that's the thing.
I think it's a good thing for her. I mean, listen, I said a long time ago, she needs a celebrity girlfriend. Someone needs to take one for the team. Just get in there. That's what she wants. She wants the attention. She wants the fame. She wants to give her a crappy clothing line. She'll think it's fantastic. You know, she dresses like Lizzie McGuire anyway. Let's go. This woman, you know, she's a perpetual teenager. And I just think, you know, she knew how to get the attention all back on herself, and she did it.
I mean, kinda, but you know, whatever. The most important thing that happened this week, obviously by far, is let's see if this works. Yeah, we got one episode left of White Lotus, man.
One left.
One, which means now I have to turn this off. There we go.
Yeah.
Which means the dead body is going to reveal itself, or dead bodies. So
I mean, we're 2 days away. 2 days away from learning who.
I can't wait.
Who
It's
died.
literally all I've been thinking about in this
All
house.
right, so let's let everybody know our game now, so they can keep
Okay.
guessing for the rest of it. So here's the game, guys. Oh.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm going back to the
All right. So if you watch White Lotus and you're into it like we are, put your guesses of who are the dead bodies. We know it's more than one. I want to see the names. Whoever gets the names right first in the comments, because might be multiple people get it right, but whoever we find first, we're going to go back and look through the comments. We're going to send you something. So make sure when you put it all in there, you also put for us. I know we have a lot of folks that we know very well, but go ahead and put your handle on Twitter so that we can DM you and we can exchange information, and we know how to get you your prize if you win.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Cal Suburban, what is White Lotus?
Yeah.
Oh, Cal. Yeah, she's got a lot going on there in her house, having to keep track of all those little ones.
Yeah.
It's the greatest show ever. You might have to binge it, Gal.
Yeah. It's good. Okay, so we should move along, but quickly, without explanation, who's the dead body, LB?
Oh, I think it's Portia.
Okay, I think it's Albie. Yeah.
You're going for Albie. That's so dark. How do we?
And Portia dying isn't dark? Come on.
Oh, who cares about Portia? No, Portia's disposable. But look, she's terrible. Talk about, somebody made that comment that she dresses like Lizzie McGuire and put up pictures of Lizzie McGuire's outfits, and it is exactly Portia's outfits. No, I think it's Portia, and I'm gonna reach out there and say I think Jennifer Coolidge. I think they go ahead and get rid of her, and I think Portia is killed by the boy prostitute because she's about to blow the whistle, and and these fabulous gays get their way, and Greg gets his way. Could be Greg too, but
yeah, not me. You understand? Not me.
Not you.
Yeah,
different
Greg.
I'm going for Jennifer Coolidge and Portia.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All right, let's go. We have an awesome guest that I can't wait to get to. So let's get through the first topics, maybe for 8 minutes each. Yeah.
Okay.
We did that last week. We were okay for the first two.
Oh my God. Last week was epically long. We're not doing that again, but it was fantastic. Okay. So the first, oh boy. All right. We're going to start with Brittany.
Yeah.
Griner, everybody. I have a take on this that is different. I think, Greg, you said you just saw Molly McHugh kind of tweet something similar. Greg and I have been talking about it since the trade happened. I'm very worried about her. And
wait, before you get into it, let's just in case we're watching this 6 months from now and everyone's gone.
Let's remind everybody.
Yeah.
So what happened was, as we have been told, is that Brittany Griner, who was being held in Russia because she worked there and she had some hash oil, and she was caught with that, and that's a very serious crime over there. They can throw you in prison for a very long time, which they did with her, and she was just been transferred into a terrible work prison. Just understand the prisons over there, and they transfer people a lot, and it just sort of make up the punishment. And it was probably about to go very badly for her. She does have a high celebrity status over there, and she was a high value prisoner for Vladimir Putin and for the security services there at the Kremlin. Because they knew they could trade her. And look, Putin has for a very long time wanted his terrorist general. I'm not going to call him anything other than that. I know there was a movie about Victor Bout. This is the person that we had finally caught in a sting. And we had been holding him in I think, in a hole. It was like, that guy, he was, this is someone who is very clearly and has always been connected with Kremlin security services. He's clearly was very important to Vladimir Putin, not anyone else in the rest of the world, just Vladimir Putin. And that's important to keep reminding everybody. This is Putin's boy, and he wanted him back because this guy is a massive arms trader. What does he do with the arms? He took the arms out of the collapse of the Soviet Union. He took those arms, all kinds of weaponry, everything you can think of. And like Mogilevich, who also did a lot of this trafficking, but Boot was very much in the guy doing it, all of it, trafficked it into areas that it looks like now in retrospect, Russia and the Kremlin, and eventually Vladimir Putin, wanted to cause chaos and disruption because they were looking to rape and pillage and take over industry. Africa is a big, and the Middle East are big targets for Boot back when he was selling arms, trading arms into those, putting them in the hands of these warlords, putting them in the hands of children. A lot of the child soldiers that we heard about 10, 20, 25 years ago, that sort of thing that was happening across certain regions in Africa, across that continent. This man was the one making that happen. Okay. He's just the amount of human misery he is responsible for at the behest of the Kremlin. I never want that to get lost. At the behest of the Kremlin. It's just almost hard to take in your brain that one man could wreak havoc the way he did. So this was our prisoner, very high value prisoner, obviously. And Putin finally had his prisoner that he could demand this trade for. I won't even get into the Whelan stuff. There was other prisoners that, that the United States would have liked to traded and had along with Victor Bout. But what was on the table from the Kremlin was Victor Bout for Brittany. That's it. There's no other trades happening. That's the one. Why? Because Putin wants his boy back. I never want to forget that. I never want anyone listening to this to forget that, because it's critical and what I fear Brittany Griner is facing. So now you have the guy that, created child soldiers across Africa and probably sold a ton of arms into Boko Haram and all this other horrible stuff that we used to hear about all the time coming out of that continent from different countries. We've got those chaos agents, those information warfare agents, and a lot of the, what do you call them, Greg? The 4th of July traitors, the Republicans that we know, the media elites, the folks that have their own shows on that channel, the Breitbarts of the world, everybody coalescing around this trade that, oh my God, the worst human being and the worst criminal ever was traded for Brittany Griner. And how could we let this happen? And they're making this big thing about it. These are also the people who hold the nutsack for Putin whenever he wants it and bend over for him. So that's why I want everybody here to remember, never unconnect those, that it's one circle of a Venn diagram. Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin security services, and Victor Bout. That's it. One thing. Don't unseparate that. So anytime they praise Putin or they want, us to start, working with him, or the Ukraine should just give in and give him territory and everyone should just appease Putin. These are the same people who are saying Victor Bout's the worst thing in the world. Well, yeah, okay. Talk to your boy about it.
Yeah.
Talk to your leader about that. He's his boy. So my fear for Brittany Griner is, and I just have been terrified for her, is not only, and again, this hasn't happened yet. It's just one of those things when you study the space and you study these extremists to the degree that I have, and other people have done even more than me. It's like you just kind of can see where they're going with it. This can lean into a racial, divide. It can lean into the LGBTQ, stuff. It's just, she can be weaponized. It's almost as if the weaponization of her by the Kremlin has just begun. And so I fear that what's going to start happening is whether Victor Bout is sitting, eating caviar and drinking champagne and doing private judo wrestling matches with his buddy, his close personal roommate, Vladimir Putin, or whether he's back in the business of trading arms and spreading war across vulnerable populations in order to destabilize them so that Putin can come in and just rape and pillage, that's going to be pointed at Brittany. And we're going to start seeing horrific images, some of which may not even be from new activity, just horrible shit. I fear is going to start flooding the information zone of like, this is what Victor Boot is doing. Oh my God, Victor Boot. And blaming her or somehow putting that on her shoulders. And remember, she's no idea and what was happening. She was in prison. She's out. We got footage of her on the plane. They're like, do you know what's happened? And she's like, no. I mean, she's just, oh my God, it makes me cry. I'm just hope that the people around her, bring in the experts that can sort of say, this is kind of what maybe we can expect. Again, it hasn't happened yet, but here's something that's very, very possible that might start happening because this is what Putin does. This is what Russia does. They may start weaponizing you to this degree. I think it's going to get very dangerous for her here. Yes, dangerous for her there, dangerous for her here if she becomes this sort of villain, right? For these folks and the content around her is used to radicalize these crazy MAGAs, these militias. And I'm worried about her. I hope that everyone starts having this conversation and what there is for us to do when we see those kinds of this, if this starts building around her from the right, from the Republicans, it's already starting it. Tom Cotton already starting this shit, right? And we start seeing images and disinformation we can't even sort through, all kinds of crap coming out of the Kremlin to flood our zone. I just think it's our job to say, yeah, that's Putin's boy. Just keep her money. It's not her. It's him. You want to talk about how horrible Victor Boot is? You cannot separate that from Vladimir Putin. That's his boy. And force those bad actors to start criticizing Putin. Once they're backed into that corner, they will disappear. They will not criticize him. It's too chaotic for them to do so. And so we need to, for anything that we can do is just keep cornering them there. Yes, he's horrible. He's terrible. He's one of the worst criminals ever to walk the face of the earth. He's caused more misery and death. But who did he do it for? He did it for Putin. Or he wouldn't have been so goddamn valuable.
Yeah.
Right? And then we just say our prayers for Brittany and for her family. And honestly, anybody, and just one last thing, anyone having any question whatsoever anymore about whether they should go and work in one of these regimes, don't. I don't care what your fancy sports agent or your fancy lawyer or anybody saying they got a great deal for you. Don't go. Don't go. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Yeah. There are people, we're also going to hear about other people that are held for longer years for the same charge that, maybe were school teachers or something like that. And so that will go against Biden and he'll be accused of virtue signaling and all this other crap. And so just, the thing to do there when we start seeing that information is to push back at that and say, well, God bless Brittany and God bless Biden, because now we're all aware of it. Now there's a chance it can get out because she's helped raise the profile of all this, even though it's not what she asked for or what she intended to do. That's all. That's my rant.
The other thing to say about her is obviously she's, I had on my podcast this week, Andrew Weiss, who wrote a graphic novel biography of Putin, which was really good. And
saw it. Yeah.
And now I completely forgot what I was going to say because I've been listening to this whole time. And I hate when this happens when I'm live. But and he was saying that Putin's pivot now into this like social conservative stuff is artifice. It's an act. He doesn't really believe it. But his targets are LGBTQ, and what they try to do is find wedge issues in the United States to exploit. And Brittany Griner is a walking wedge issue. She's everyone wrapped into one person.
I
She's
know.
black. She's a lesbian, a married lesbian. She's famous. She's a foot and a half taller than Putin, right? There's all these things. So the proper approach for us is to say, the reason it's important that Biden did this, and I don't fucking care about Victor Boot. He was in jail. People in the comments are saying he was in prison here in a hole for 11 years. I don't think his cell phone contacts are still valid. 6 years he was going to get free anyway. It's important that we bring her back. It's important that the old white guy who's the president of the United States says it's important for her to come back. I think that sends a really powerful signal, and I don't fucking care about anything else. That's my position on it. And people, I mean, everyone's gonna. I made the topic here trade grade, because in the NBA whenever there's or Major League Baseball, whenever there's a trade, everyone comes in to analyze it. And there was actually a lot of arcane, kind of funny sports content, that jokes that I can't even explain to everybody, that were kind of amusing about this. But like, it's not really that. It's, you have to look at it in such a large picture. And for me, I'm just happy that she's back. It was one of the things that was bothering me. Like, it just was, and now it isn't anymore. So I'm just grateful. So, thanks, Biden. Victor Boot, go do your thing. You're fine. Go to your Rolodex of numbers and see how many of your fucking people are even still alive.
Maybe we can pick this guy up again, guys. If he does go back again.
Okay.
All right, my power source is signaling to me it's not working. So excuse me. I'm going to mute. You start.
All right. You got to put the clock on and make it 5 minutes, because I'm going to be quick, because we want to get to our guest who's patiently waiting. We've had a lot of. I want to talk about sports a little bit. I know there's a lot of stuff going on this week, and literally no one watching cares about sports. But I do feel like it's my job on some level, when there's something in the sports world that's going to hit into, like, maybe crossover into the popular culture and the news, that people should be aware of it. I want to talk about two bad owners. In addition to the Brittany Griner being an athlete who went to Russia, probably at the behest of her agents, and because A, she could make 10 times as much money there as she can here, which is a problem. And B, because agents, friends, other athletes were like, just go, it'll be great. They'll treat you great. And the Molly McHugh tweet was, the reason you don't go for this horrible regime is because you don't want to one day be traded for an arms dealer. That's what she tweeted. And that's beautiful. Two bad owners I want to talk about real quick. Okay. The first bad owner is named Dan Snyder. He's the owner of the Washington Commanders, formerly the Washington Redskins. They were called the Redskins as long as they were called the Redskins, because Dan Snyder refused to change the team's name, even though it's not only is it appropriating native culture, it's a slur. But he didn't care, because he's like, there's bad owners in sports that are kind of jerky people, but they're good for the franchises. Like Jerry Jones, who owns the Cowboys, maybe not a great guy, but he's a great owner of a team, right? This guy is a bad person and a terrible owner. He's like both. The Washington sports football franchise has sucked ass since he bought the team. Everyone hates him so much. If you Google him, the House Oversight Committee just release this report, which they've been doing for like a year, like studying this guy. Over the summer, he was literally on a yacht cruising around like the Mediterranean to avoid being subpoenaed. I think he broke the 5th record and the I don't remember record. And he claimed in the thing that he doesn't have any email at all and never has, which he's like our age. That's like ridiculous.
An American oligarch, in other words.
But this is a toxic work environment where there's lots of sexual harassment claims, sexual assault claims, and all he did, according to the House Oversight thing, was try to cover it up, try to bully people into silence, make people sign NDAs, just all this really horrible stuff. So we're probably going to hear more about him. So if you hear that name in the news, Dan Snyder, just know he is a horrible human and a horrible owner of a team that he finally renamed after the advertisers pulled out. He was like, fine. For 1 year, he decided not to give the team a name, and it was just called Washington Football Team. And now it's the Washington Commanders, which everyone shortens to either the commies or the C words. Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah, because they hate him. I'm just reporting what's called.
Okay.
Next. Okay, this is also important.
Next,
there's a quarterback named Deshaun Watson. I've mentioned him before. He served his 11-game suspension, which the NFL imposed on him for He was accused by 26 massage therapists of sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual impropriety in a huge civil suit that went on that he wound up settling eventually. Once it became known that he was not going to be criminally charged, some of the owners in the NFL were like, oh my God, it's a great quarterback. Let's go get him. And which is sleazy. The owners of the New York Football Giants were like, we don't want this fucking guy. So good on them. Okay. Other owners didn't want him either. But the owners of the Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam, he owns a chain of truck stops, and his brother was the Republican governor of Tennessee. Jimmy Haslam was like, fuck it. Not only am I going to trade for this guy, I'm going to give a lot of picks and everything else. I'm going to pay him $260 million guaranteed contracts. NFL doesn't have guaranteed contracts. That's $10 million for each of the accused of the victims of this guy. Okay.
Oh my God.
By the way, he's not been contrite. He's not said anything like, oh, I'm sorry or what. It's just all bullshit. He doesn't think he did anything wrong based on what you've seen him say. So anyway, last week he came out and he started his first game for Cleveland in Houston, which was the team that he used to be on. And he sucked. He was terrible.
Oh, good.
And what we want to have happen is for him to just fucking suck so bad, because then they have to just bench him and pay him $250 million to suck, which would be great. So I hope everyone's rooting for that. Anyway, Deshaun Watson bad, Jimmy Haslam bad, Dan Snyder bad. Enough sports.
Okay. Wow. A 5/8 sports segment. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
20 seconds under. You're
Are
fine.
we hemorrhaging viewers here? Okay.
No, not yet.
I hope not. We have a very good guest, and you can see behind my head. Maybe you can guess who it might be.
Maybe.
But before we bring her on, we have to have a word from her. We have a sponsor, LB.
It's amazing. Let's go.
I know. It's incredible.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Are you looking for a way to transfer funds that's completely anonymous? Do you want to keep your assets in a place the IRS can't find them? Need an untraceable way to bet on the Giants? Our new cryptocurrency can help. Hi, I'm Nunzio Ciccarelli, president of the Bank of the Bada Bing, and I'm here to tell you about a cryptocurrency guaranteed to satisfy all your investment and fund transfer needs. Like Ethereum, it's completely anonymous, so you don't gotta worry about nosy FBI mopes poking around. Like Bitcoin, there's a finite supply, so it ain't gonna lose its value. But there ain't none of this blockchain bullshit. Not only that, but our product is backed by the full faith and credit of the USA. We call our cryptocurrency Cash. Get yours today, while supplies last. Cash! Available now at the Bank of the Bada Bing. Member FDOC. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, a little break from the singing. That was nice.
Yeah, we need.
I'm so grateful for our sponsors.
America has spoken, and they've had enough of my singing voice. I think we've all. I think I can say, okay. Now we bring in our guest. She is a law professor. She's the author of the book behind me, Big Dirty Money, which everybody should buy and read. She has a new podcast called Booked Up. And she's also sort of like the Pied Piper of Mastodon. She's like, like in Battlestar Galactica, yeah. She's like, Mary McDonnell in Battlestar Galactica. She's like, I'm the president of Mastodon now. Everyone follow me. And that's what everyone did. And so Jen Taub, welcome back to the 5/8.
Oh my God. Mastodon seems so last month. No, I'm still there.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Thanks for having me. I like LB. I had my cocktail earlier in the evening, and now I am on to Diet Coke to keep my synapses sharp.
Okay.
I mean, not that yours aren't sharp, Greg. I appreciate you.
Oh, they are not. I assure you they're not. they're anything but sharp. So tell us about the pod. I listened to the first episode, which was really good. So as I understand it, what you're trying to get at is like the end of the night kind of conversation after everyone lets their hair down and is chilling, like after.
Well, that was the vibe with Dahlia, because we would be like sitting around doing that. My next guest is Michael Cohn, so it's more with him. It's more like, hey, what are you doing at this coffee shop? We've got an hour to kill. So, for every person it's different, but it's all about having a real conversation with someone like that, kind of like this, about stuff in their book, or their books, or their, whatever they've been writing recently. And I'm trying to include folks who have new bestsellers like Dahlia Lithwick with Lady Justice, or Michael Cohen's new book, Revenge, but also some of our old favorites. I shouldn't say old. We're getting on too in those years. But for example, one of the features I'm doing every month is a book club. So it's the Booked Up Book Club. And this month, I've got a cast of thousands. It's going to be Lisa Birnbach, who wrote the official Preppy Handbook. If you're Gen X, you know what we're talking about. Also, Molly Jong Fast, E. Jean Carroll, George Conway, and Ivan Lett, who is an editor and poet. So it's going to be a great group. So every month we'll kind of have that group, or maybe rotate different people in. But the other 3 days out of the month, different really interesting writers and all kinds of topics. The key thing is that they have to be a nonfiction writer, even if they've written fiction before, because I want to get into real life topics, whether that be politics or law or racial justice or what have you.
So not Heinrich the 13th ruling the Mastodon instance on the. Okay, gotcha.
I was cracking up when you said that. That was really good.
Okay, so we asked you what you wanted to talk about tonight, because there's so much news, and there's so much legal news, I think, this week.
Yeah.
And you said jury pools. I want to celebrate jury pools. And I wrote back, which ones? So,
I thought I said jury verdicts.
Yeah, no, you said pools, but that's okay.
Oh, shoot. That was my dictation error. Okay.
It says untainted jury pools, which is good, because I think
what?
one of the
Greg?
These
you're being betrayed by Siri. Yeah.
What? I'm going back and looking at my email.
It might be me. My synapses are not working. I didn't have Diet Coke. I did have Diet Coke at lunch. And
okay.
It's still not good.
Greg.
I'm just going to keep drinking my pomegranate.
You might be right.
Greg. I said, what do you want to rant about? I said, I want to rant happily about the brave jury.
Oh, jury. Yeah. That's what I thought you meant. Because a brave jury is a jury that might be MAGA but defies Trump. So that's what I was thinking.
Oh, I see.
There is this kind of thought, I don't know who actually has this thought, but one of the this is what Merrick Garland is afraid of theories, is that, oh my God, we're going to go to a jury and there's going to be one MAGA asshole on the jury and the whole thing isn't going to work. And that didn't happen. So that's where
yes, and your question is better. I think it really gets to the essence of what I'm happy about. Sorry.
Okay,
I'm just
good.
thinking.
No, it's fine.
I'm so focused on the jury verdict that I didn't even step back to think that it's a lot about the composition of the jury and that fear. I just think any jury, whether they're MAGA crazies or they're just ordinary people, would be hesitant to convict the businesses of a former president. It's never happened before. Not just to Donald Trump himself. His businesses have been engaged in activity that really does appear to violate criminal statutes for decades and decades, but he often just settles those matters civilly, because the statutes can be, these offenses can be charged as civil cases and settled, or they can be, someone can be indicted. So that this was a big deal to begin with. But we've never had a U.S. president have their businesses, let alone their person, an eponymous business. And these are named after the guy. There's not really a big separation, if any, between this business and the man. To convict him is bold, and they open the door for justice to come in, and I think it's going to be rushing in I
agree.
Good.
Yeah, I think actually the sort of, I'm just like you, I'm an everyman. I think that card, that populist card that he played, is going to work against him here. In this sentiment that it just feels like we've all been part of the reality show, and so why not convict him? I think he gave up the gravitas of the office, the sort of everyone feeling too intimidated to take him on. I mean, I think one of the first tweets I ever did on Twitter is I called him a horrible word. And I remember.
You can't just do that. Can you give us the first letter of the terrible word?
it's a C next Tuesday word. And so,
Oh,
I remember
are
hesitating.
you British or something? I mean,
No, I'm
okay,
Irish.
that works.
It works. So I was hesitating because I was like, oh my God, it's the president. Can I say this to them? Because I was like, "Meh," and then I was like, do I hit send? And because I was new to Twitter, right? I mean, I hadn't had an account for years, but I hadn't used it, and I was doing this. This was God, it was like early 2017 or 2016.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And sent it. And I just think because of that, because he brought that energy in and that sort of the lowering of the office and the lowering of any kind of prestige because he wanted that populist thing, it's going to come around and bite him in the ass. I don't think any juror is going to, they're like, yeah, okay, he's guilty. Fuck him. Yeah.
You know, I'm so glad we're talking about this way, LB, because, or can I call you Stephanie? I guess.
Let's call me Stephanie. Yeah.
Yay, how fun.
Yay.
Stephanie. So it's like Marsha.
Hmm.
See, more Gen X. I mean, Brady Bunch. Stephanie, you're way too young to know what I'm talking about. Is that you're not getting any of the Gen X references here?
No, I'm getting them all.
Okay. They're not that funny.
now.
Okay, so
Yeah.
back to the thing I haven't really talked about is what's also typical of a criminal case, but new for Trump is that we have one of his own testifying against him and his businesses. Even though Weisselberg tried to kind of cabin it off, there is nothing in what prosecutors call a paper case, a numbers case, to have a real person walk you through it. And so that's new. But what's really a trial balloon is that we have someone who's already pleaded guilty doing that. So a jury knows, knows that this guy Weisselberg was involved in this, and he's still testifying, and they were able to credit his testimony and convict the businesses. So to me, this would also help the Manhattan DA maybe actually have the courage to put Michael Cohen on the stand.
Well, we'll see.
Because I think that
I don't know about Alvin Bragg. I'm very skeptical of him. Maybe he had he's pulling out a chess move that no one saw. I do tend to put more confidence in the prosecutors that were under Cy Vance. I know Scott Cy Vance has a sketchy history.
Yes, but the guys who left,
they left, and then Pomerantz is a killer, and for him to leave and to leave publicly like that and make a statement, and that was like I was
fully. I had no faith
going on here.
But just a few days ago, he brought in Matthew Colangelo, though. So what was that about?
I don't know. Maybe he's realized that I don't know. I don't know about Alvin. I can't read this guy. I don't know.
Because this is a new change.
My friend knows him and works in New York City politics for years and says he's okay. So for what it's worth.
But he just needed it all to be his thing, right?
Well, think about this.
In there. It wasn't like he wasn't in there trying to take that. Like we're all in our space. All I've thought about for 6 years is take this fucking guy down.
Yeah.
And Bragg isn't thinking about that. He's thinking about doing the job of
I think he got so much pushback because he stepped away. I mean, part of what went down is those guys were ready to go against Trump, charging him. I think they were going to take the lawsuit that was just won, the guilty verdict. I think they were going to do it this would have been early last year, like January of 2022. The plan, I think, that Pomerantz probably wanted was to have a superseding indictment, add Donald Trump, the person, to this one about the under the table tax payments, and then add additionally the criminal charges related to the overvalue and undervalue the property, right? The bank fraud, the insurance fraud, the business fraud. I think that's what he was going to do. And then we don't know why. I think there's more to the story. We'll find out one day. He got cold feet, didn't do it.
Yeah.
But now that he's got the little taste of victory, the endorphins from winning, the courage, the knowledge that a jury would do this. Now Colangelo is coming in. You know where he came from. That's what's amazing. He was working over for Tish James on the civil cases. So he's got all the knowledge. Why do you hire this guy?
He's got the accounting too. So
right.
So he's coming in prepared with all of that. And I always think it's important to remind everybody when we're talking about a star witness that like Weisselberg, right? Who's key to this whole thing. He came from Fred. Alan
Such a good point. He's been there
Fred.
forever. Yep.
And he was Fred's in the era that Fred was cutting checks for Tony Salerno. So I said from day one with Weisselberg, I was like, oh no, he'll go to prison for Trump. He was born to go to prison.
Can confirm.
Manafort, those two guys are very different than the Giulianis of the world, right? Who swum around in organized crime and came from a crime family himself, but played the card of I'm gonna be the white hat, and then I'm gonna let all my boys off, right? And so he did that for years. But his identity's way more important to him, and he doesn't want to go to prison. A lot of people wouldn't do well in there. Weisselberg would be fine in prison. Just like Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort came out of prison looking tanned and refreshed, and his gray hair was even better for him. So,
although Weisselberg, he's going to probably go to Rikers, but only 5 months. So
yeah, it's fine. He'll do his time. You come in, you're put on to Fred Trump by Fat Tony Salerno, head of the Genovese crime family, and Roy fucking Cohn. You're okay to do 5 months. That for all the years this guy has been running a criminal organization
and all the money his family benefited from, right?
Absolutely. 5 months is nothing. So that was the other trick with Weisselberg is, this is somebody who, it's not that he'll go to prison, quote unquote, for Trump, even though I just said that. It's that this is a racketeer, right? And this is hardcore rackets.
Right. This is the price you pay for
the
membership.
Cartel. Right.
Yep.
This guy was swinging it. He was swinging the numbers in the era of the concrete cartel. So
you make such a good point.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine going to prison. So I hope he ends up being a valuable witness. Maybe there was something in there that Alvin Bragg saw that was like, he can still play his cards and get out, and we're not going to be able to go the distance with this. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's more, right? Because whatever Bragg does, he he won this small $1.6 million at most case. Fine, it's a landmark case. Fine, it seems like small potatoes, and we'll see if he has the courage to move forward. But Tish James wrote that giant complaint back in September, made the referral to the SDNY, the federal prosecutors. I don't know if I told you this, but this semester I'm teaching white collar crime, which I do once a year, not a how-to course. And I assigned the students.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean,
it kind of is,
that. Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what they'll learn?
But
the final exam, what I assigned them is I gave them parts of Tish James' civil complaint against Donald Trump, the adult kids, and those various Trump organizations. Nice. And I said, look at footnote 1, where the state, New York State Attorney General says she's made a referral under 2 federal statutes. This is not the IRS part. This is the bank fraud, which is 18 U.S.C. 1344, making false statements to financial institutions, which is 18 U.S.C. 1014. And I said, take a look at those statutes, pretend, imagine you're now assistant U.S. attorney, write a memo to your boss saying, making a recommendation, pros and cons about charging. First is, charging Donald Trump under bank fraud. The second question is charging Donald Trump under the false statements. And the third is pick any one of the organizations and use the principles of prosecution and the other law to decide whether you would, bring a case against one of the organizations. They only have 2,500 words to do that. And they're allowed, prior to the exam, we kind of crowdsourced the case law, because my case book doesn't focus so narrowly just on the law in New York, in the jurisdiction, Southern District of York, which would be in the Second Circuit. So they're allowed to use a whole bunch of cases that parse those statutes. And I'm going to have some memos to read come next Wednesday. Oh. And, maybe I'll send a little note over to the SDNY saying, here's what we found.
Maybe you have some helpful open source information that you can provide. A little bit of guidance.
But I just couldn't help myself, because it was, that time in the semester when this came down, and I said, what am I even doing here as an instructor? Yeah. You can take a final exam, closed book final exam, and, spot issues and write essays and then just forget about it, get your A, B, or C or whatever. Or you can actually learn how to do something in the world and really imagine you're making this tough decision about what to do and what the weaknesses are. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Tell
We just
everyone
had
where you teach, Jen, just so
What-
you.
oh, sorry. I live in Western Massachusetts, and right now we're broadcasting, if that you can call it that, from Northampton. And but I teach in Springfield at Western New England University School of Law.
Nice.
We
Good.
just had a comment on Twitter, which I can't put on the YouTube screen, saying that you should do the lectures and record them and share them like Timothy Snyder.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I know you're probably not allowed to, but
well,
you know.
I don't know. I mean, I probably could, but like that's a big job.
Yeah, I know. It's okay.
Does Tim Schneider do that with what? With his books on
He has a
on-
whole series about Ukraine and the history of the thing, and he's very involved with that.
I
Do
bet
you think people would really want? Do you think?
cameras.
I think you should do a how-to course. I think that's where the money's at. Just the final exam is create a shell
Greg, it's been
corporation
done. It's
in the
happening.
Caymans.
Greg,
Yeah.
Greg. It's called SBF University, and it's happening right now in the Bahamas at FDX.
You know what you should do? But you could say, I'm going to teach a class teach you guys all how to think like a criminal.
No, I'm not doing it. It's so
All right,
evil.
she's not doing it. It's too
It's
bad.
just too. It's kind of like teaching people how to make a ghost gun. It's really wrong. I mean, I could, if I put that hat on, I could. It's just bad. I don't want because I would be teaching people who didn't otherwise know how to break the law, how to do it, and I just don't want to do
I don't
that.
know about breaking the law, but how to think like the people you're going to be prosecuting if you end up being a prosecutor.
Oh,
How do you get into the mind? How do these people, because they're not that creative, they just keep repeating the same cons and scams all over again. Where is the line between white collar crime and organized crime?
yeah.
You know, and sort of like what, when do we to be able to think and know how they operate?
There's a book. There's a good book by a Harvard professor that came out a couple years ago where he just interviewed former white collar criminals, and I'm forgetting the name of it. Like, why do they do it? I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like-
no, you make a good point, which is yeah.
Who's the bank robber? Is it Wee Willie Keeler or is that the baseball player? You know what I'm talking about? The guy that robbed all the banks.
Willie Sutton. That's where the money
Willie
is.
Sutton. That's where the money is. Yeah. Why do you do it? That's where the money is.
We bring Jen Taub on and we're just all for corrupting her. This is what's happening.
I mean, I don't
No,
want
I feel like
be
no,
on the
but I
dark
feel like
side.
there's a darkness there. It's like it's like some
I just don't,
season
because
2 of WandaVision.
the thing is, it would have to be like the movie that great I think it's 2 series now, but the Occupied, the great movie where there was that woman at the beginning who has like brain cancer, so she's willing to take part in this violent resistance to the Russian occupation of like Norway or something. Have you not watched this?
I have not watched this.
Oh my God, I watched Occupied during the interregnum in December of 2016. It made me so afraid. You've not watched Occupied?
I have not.
What?
I can't watch something that sad.
No, it's.
Can I handle it? I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, you can totally. No, it's amazing. Wait, I'm going to see if people in the comments. Okay, folks in the comments. God, I'm scrolling. Tell me if you've seen Occupied. Has anyone seen
On Netflix.
Occupied?
I think Marie Cast might. She's in
Yeah,
France.
it's
Yeah,
on
they said
Netflix.
it's on Netflix. It's so, yep, it's a must.
There it
Thanks, Marie.
goes. It's great.
Okay.
all
So
right.
yeah, watch it. But the point is, if
Okay.
I would have to be, I can't imagine wanting to instruct on how to do bad stuff.
No,
you
no,
know?
no, not that. That this is how they think. This is how this scam went down. I guess that you end up doing by default, it's kind of doing it. Like, I just think it help if people can understand, and as because I'm so
You have to lack so much empathy. The
Yeah.
issue, it's either desperation, arrogance, or lack of empathy, which is kind of all of the above. I mean, you can just look around. Look at Elizabeth Holmes. Look at SBF. Look
Yeah,
at
that guy.
Angelo Mazzillo. I can give you a list of it. You can do the case studies. Look at Donald Trump. There's different types of people and different approaches to the plausible deniability, to someone being the fall guy. I mean, you see the ingredients, how it works. The number one thing is don't leave any records. I mean, why am I doing this? Why am I even saying that? But look what Donald did. Don't have email. Don't.
It's
right?
impossible. That's
And Dan
impossible.
Snyder,
now.
no email, Dan Snyder.
He's such an old fart. I think there's going to be we're kind of phasing out of the era where there's not going to be a trace for this stuff. Everything is in a traceable format now. It's just he got away with it. In that
Not
way.
everybody.
Not
does
if,
that.
not if you use the cryptocurrency.
Not
called
if you use-
cash.
cash. If you use that crypto cash, no one.
Oh God, when I started seeing your sponsor, I'm like, "Ooh, they have a sponsor." And then I start, wait, what are they doing? And then I realized what was going on because I was like,
No, we do fake ads, we do karaoke, we have to
Yeah.
take
Oh,
we have
karaoke?
to take a moment where we have a break. Yes, Jen.
I've
You
missed the
You
karaoke.
missed the karaoke. Last week was last week was a lot to of karaoke to assemble because we did a big one. But we'll bring you back on. Next time we come back on, we'll make sure we have some songs for you. And we'll sing.
You don't want me to do karaoke. I had one bad experience with karaoke. It's like having one bad platter of like
Oysters.
shrimp or oysters. Yeah, I had one bad karaoke experience in the summer of 2003. Never again.
Okay.
What did
All
you
right, well,
sing?
I understand, actually.
That was the problem, Greg. I think we had done like shots or something. It was summer vacation in P-Town. And I think we decided somehow, maybe it was my idea. All the bad things are my idea. That somehow singing Que Sera Sera would be really funny. Like a Doris Day. It's a really hard karaoke song.
Someone recorded it? Is this what happened?
No, this is before, thank God. This is before people had phones.
That's my fear. That's why I don't
Well,
do it.
do I have a surprise for you?
Don't do it. It's worse than it's like the singing equivalent of Elaine Bennis on Seinfeld doing her dance at the party. That's how bad.
Yes, I understand. I understand. I can't handle it. I can't sing the karaoke.
You have sympathy. You have sympathy.
Yeah, it's always on Greg's shoulders because I'm like, no, I cannot sing. And I used to be able to sing actually beautifully, and then my voice changed, and that was it. So I can't.
What do you mean your voice changed?
Well, I got COVID, and
recently.
Yeah.
You've lost your voice because of COVID forever.
You did a good job with it, COVID Paradise, the Comey Paradise.
No.
Yeah, that was fine.
Yeah. No, it damaged my vocal cords, but it gave me this recording voice that's been very good for me in terms of audio recording and narrating and talking, doing audio. I do my books in audio, so not in print. Maybe I should do print. I don't know. Okay.
I like that though. I like I really think you're an incredible storyteller.
Well, thanks, Jen.
No, I mean, I have so much to learn from you. Not just the content, but the way that you weave a tale and get people hooked.
Yeah, and I'm finally getting to my second season. It just took a long time to get there because a lot happened in the last year and a half. But so that'll be exciting. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think you'll like it. I'll send you some advance.
I feel like you should be a guest on my podcast because I consider you, nonfiction writer.
Yeah.
I mean, would you do it? Would you come on?
Great. Maybe we'll come on as a pair. Yeah, of course. Of course I'll come on your podcast. Are you kidding? Yeah.
I can't believe this. This is great. Thank you.
We're live booking, everybody. But
live booking.
That's my thing. That's what I do.
It's fine.
Now you can't weasel out of it.
I know. I would never.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about the Trump and the charges and what's coming for him? Is there anything? I know I hate doing predictions. Greg and I put that up before we move to the next topic, which we're keeping you on, I hope, to talk about the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But anything else around all this? Like, what is next? What is coming next?
The question is, who's going to go first? It's not a question of if. Donald Trump will be indicted if he's still alive in the next few months, which he will be. I don't have any.
Yeah.
So he's fully, there's not, I mean, I don't even know what he's made of, it's like some sort of plasticine or something. So he will be alive and he will be indicted. And I just don't know whether Merrick Garland is going to have the feds come first or whether it will be Alvin Bragg with something. Or whether it will be Fani Willis out of Georgia, or some sort of surprise, or maybe the Jack Smith, who is out of DC. That's to me. I shouldn't say Merrick Garland. It would be Jack Smith, special prosecutor out of DC. That's my question. And when it comes to Alvin Bragg, apparently he's now also looking into the hush money payments by
Stormy.
Right. To Stormy from Michael Cohen. So we'll have to see. I cannot imagine him not being charged. And it's got to happen soon, I think. at least in the Mar-a-Lago records. And, the judge is getting frustrated, as you saw the other day. So that case seems to be moving forward. He's lost the special master. He's not going to appeal that decision up to the Supreme Court. We've got a judge really angry, prosecutors really angry, and going to the judge saying, I think you should hold these lawyers in contempt, because why are they showing up with more documents with classification markings? I mean, at some point that's gotta happen. So, what I wonder from you guys is what that looks like. Like, usually when you indict someone, there's going to have to be an arraignment, right? And how is that going to happen? Is he going to show up? And the only reason why I think,
No.
well, I think somehow he would, because he did, show up for the depositions in the E. Jean Carroll case. Those happened.
He did.
And although they were at his own home.
Yeah, he did for Tish James, and that wasn't at his own home. He was in New York. And
right.
We've got Sandy Bacon, my good friend, got an incredible shot of him.
She's so good.
In his car going, right? When he pled the fifth over 300 or 400 times. So he knows what he's doing. No. He's going to run away. I have said this yet again. I can testify. I'm putting all my chips down on this man is fleeing.
Where?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he's such a baby. They don't make the burger correctly. He's gonna go to UAE. They can't cook his fucking well done steak.
He's gonna stay and be. I don't think, even if he's indicted and even if he's convicted, I think it would be. I think I've said this forever. It would have to be house arrest. You just cannot put the Secret Service in all the cells in some prison somewhere.
Yeah, he's going to be, but okay, what we should do is start a campaign where we convince him that he's like Lucky Luciano, because he loves those old gangsters. And
I love how you say Lucky Luciano.
There's nothing more than just petting that baby and stroking that ego and letting him know, look, Luciano showed up in the trial and it was a circus. That was insane.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that history. I got into it a little bit. I'm getting into it more. So if we convince him that he's sort of iconic and legendary, and he'll go down in infamy and there'll be a circus around him, maybe he'll stick around. Otherwise, that man's, literally will go off of the stupid bridges off of Mar-a-Lago for a submarine waiting for him to shuttle him somewhere to get him
I love how we have these two different viewpoints. Who's usually in your history of disagreeing, who's usually right? Is it you, Stephanie?
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I can't see it, because the other thing is, and this is the real point, he's now, how old is he? 78 years old, right? He's up there. And his entire life, he has never had to face the consequences for anything he's done. So why is he going to think it's going to start now? By the time he realizes that he's fucked and he can't leave, it'll be too late for him to escape.
You know how you say that, tell people the dark side and just to help. Here's what, if anyone wants to get this, a really fun thing would be, and I don't think this is legal, so I'm not suggesting anyone do it, but someone, catfishing him, get some beautiful young thing of age, to start hanging out around Mar-a-Lago, get in a relationship with him undercover. And then when he goes to flee, she can flee with him and then report out where he is.
I think her name was
not going to be hard to find.
I think this happened.
It's not Bin Laden, for God's sake.
I think the Kremlin did this. Her name was Ivana, and it happened back in 1970 something. Yeah, no, I don't know. Who knows?
The most conspicuous person that there is.
What is?
Just imagine him like hiding. Was he going to put like a turban on? And
no, he's going to actually show. He's going to stop doing the thing with his hair, and no one will recognize.
No, he'll never stop that.
He's never going to. He's not going to be Better Call Saul. I'm saying he can't change. He's incapable of it.
He's going to run away. He's always run away.
Is St. Helena still a thing? Who owns St. Helena now? Is that like a fucking money tax haven or something? Why can't we put him there? He can be like Napoleon.
Well, does he have a place? Well, there are a lot of places he could, but the thing is, he doesn't want to be in hiding. This is where Greg seems right. He wants to, what? He wants to be somewhere we can have his.
He'll
He
go
needs.
to Saudi Arabia, loves him.
No, he
The
needs all
Emiratis
these.
love him.
He needs all these people around him saying how smart he is all the time.
He just needs, Diet Coke and some prostitutes. He'll be fine. He in a gold toilet. He doesn't need. He's just fine.
It's the indignity of it. It's the indignity of it.
Yeah. He's this. I like Al Sharpton said something, and I don't hardly ever reference or quote Al Sharpton ever, but I find myself doing it a little bit lately. He was trying to make this point the other day. I don't know what show he was on. I was up in the middle of the night. It's probably Morning Joe. He was saying, he's got a glass jaw, and he knows him. He knows him really well, and he does. Donald Trump has a glass jaw. He does not stick around. He runs from a fight. People just don't hit back, and you can't hit him once. You have to hit him a couple of times, and he'll run away.
I mean, he always settles cases if the money gets really high. So maybe he would do a plea bargain. No,
for what? Who is he going to flip on? Who?
Well, no, just to
problem with becoming. He's flipped before. He's gotten out of indictment.
That's right.
For a lesser
He did.
Charge
He flipped
and
on
then
the
do X, Y, and Z.
He definitely flipped in the tax evasion. The sales tax evasion stuff involving the luxury jewelry stores, right?
Oh, more than that, yeah. And then he was under massive investigation for money laundering.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Greg.
And boom, he loses, and all of a sudden, Vasily Ivankov is in fucking prison.
Guys,
yes.
He tried to overthrow the fucking government. He
So
led the goddamn besieging of the
Greg,
Capitol.
that was yesterday. We've
in any
moved
other
on.
society, in any other point in
Right,
human
no, it's
history,
true.
he would be on the fucking guillotine.
Well, look at Peru.
What he can plead for is that he won't get the death sentence. That's the only argument we should be having about Trump, really, is what the punishment should be and how severe.
Well, that's up to Jack Smith, right? If he's going to bring that case.
I guess. Yeah. I guess. We'll see if they have the guts to do the insurrection. I'm not sure about that.
He can hit him with the documents first and then charge him with that later. That's what he should be doing. Jen, a friend of mine who's a lawyer.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny.
Oh, maybe we can.
I missed that. What?
We brought everything around.
Yeah, I heard that.
Then we'll trade him for Paul Whelan.
And then
that was good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to our next topic, guys, because it's 6:04. If you don't mind.
What time? How much time do we have for our next topic? 8 minutes? Is that?
We do it in 8-minute segments.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Do you have to leave? Do you have a hard out at a time?
I mean, at some point I have to sleep, but I'm good.
No. We're not going to go that long. We're already an hour 4. Let's do 5 minutes on this. This is quick.
Okay, good.
5 minutes. Here we go. All right. So you guys, I don't know who caught this. I have been tracking this reverend. His name is Schenck. Okay. And he's a kook. He is a kookamongo. And he's a big pastor. He's got books. He's got weird things. He's got like a YouTube video where he's very upset because he's found that people that there are Bibles that are actually just cases for guns, for handguns, and people can carry what looks like a Bible, but when you open it up, there's your gun and your cartridge, and that this is terrible, that this is coming into the house of worship. But he was like doing an infomercial for it. So he is a very odd duck, for sure. But he's been spilling the beans on this sort of unholy alliance that has been made between the dark forces behind the Supreme Court. So we're going to look at the big money donors that have been in there paying for and influencing just to the end result of doing things like Amy Coney Barrett all of a sudden has a book and she's got an ad campaign, right? We're like, that takes a lot of money behind these justices and people like Alito and people like Thomas who now think they're stand-up comedians and they can go to these dinners and get at the podium and make jokes and crack jokes and poke at the libs. And so you peel back a few years from this horrible situation we are in now with this very activist court, right? And back in like 2012, 2014, there was this concern that the conservative justices were getting sort of shut down on things. And a lot of it was around this Hobby Lobby thing that this guy Schenck was involved with. So the story goes, if you read the New York Times article, and this man just testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee, which is why I'm referencing it this week.
Yep.
Is that he he was at some dinner and he was part of this sort of group of evangelical ministers that had made this deal with party affiliates that were concerned about. So we can kind of glean from that. Probably Mitch McConnell, probably Leonard Leo in there in the Federalist Society, all the sort of usual players. This concern that these conservative justices back 6-8 years ago were not getting the kind of support they needed and were not able to actually do things like what this evangelical community and these Christo fascists had wanted for so long, which is overturning Roe. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that had to do with they saw them, going back to like Alito, sitting there in their confirmation processes and saying, in their hearings and saying, it's precedent, it's precedent, it's precedent, Roe's precedent, Roe's is precedent. And we saw a barrage of that for the three people from Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett that Trump jammed in there, right? Mm-hmm. So they wanted to, according to Schenck, give these justices more support, bring in big money donors for justices, right? To start developing and getting things together like amica briefs and all these kinds of fine cases that they could put money behind and activism behind so they could push it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Well, this is what the Hobby Lobby case was, right? And then once it's up there, the leak then happened around that Hobby Lobby leak. It was, according to Schenck, he is claiming that it was Alito at a dinner with some of the donors that this guy, Schenck, had put around the Supreme Court justices. Like, here's your money, people, for anything you might need. We're here to back you. If you want a campaign, if you want anything. This is so highly unethical. I can't even wrap my mind around how unethical it is, right? It's no different than the ethics issues that the court is facing today. So the reason this all comes up in front of the House Judiciary is because the House is trying right now in the little wee hours that they have, and hopefully it'll pass over to the Senate with the Dems control, trying to get some ethics and laws in place for the Supreme Court justices because they are so out of control ethically. And here is testimony to show everyone that this is how unethical their behavior has been and how long it has been going on. That you have conservative evangelicals matching big money donors to Supreme Court justices and their causes.
Mm-hmm. It's really ugly. And sorry.
That's it. I don't know what to say after that. I hope that was a good enough review. Sorry, everyone. I didn't have that as prepared.
I mean, I'm just as flummoxed as you are, not entirely surprised, but what's so distressing about this is, he's having this moment where he's testifying before a House committee. And of course, the Republicans on the committee are trying to impugn his character, are not listening to what he's saying, and they're ignoring, they'll pick apart one piece of it. Alito denied, he said he went to dinner with this couple who was high up in the conservative organizations.
Yale something. Yeah.
But said they never talked about it, but somehow there's like a paper trail on email of this about indicating, something like, I can't tell you that one of the couples who the wife who was there emailed, I think the person who, one of the people involved in maybe one of the family members in the Hobby Lobby case, and said, give me a call. I can't say this online. And he later said he knew ahead of time what the decision was going to be. So it might've been a nod or a wink or a, over coffee or wine saying, I think you'll be very pleased with how we're going to come out. You don't have to give the whole decision and dissect the points of law. You can just give a nod and a wink and make it clear. What you're talking about, Stephanie, though, too, is this bigger effort where the way influence was peddled was through something is sort of, boring or traditional or sort of, you wouldn't suspect it. The Supreme Court Historical Society, that they were getting close to influence peddling and access by paying to participate and go to these events where Supreme Court justices would be. Now they're not even hiding it, right? Now the justices are standing up and at Federalist Society's events and not even pretending to do anything about it. And in fact, didn't we just see there was a provision in the Defense Authorization Bill to try to outlaw requiring or asking Supreme Court justices' spouses to reveal who they're employed by. That's like the Ginny Thomas hide my involvement in the insurrection
Right.
act. Anyhow, it's distressing, and I really, I think that these folks actually think they're priests or something.
No,
And that's
we're back in Egypt with the the Egyptian things in the temple, and like all the money's going through, and then the pharaohs. This is where we're.
no one is above the law except these
It's
justices,
insane.
apparently, right?
Yeah, they're above the law. And the other thing that this man revealed, and then we can move on because we went past our 5 minutes. But the other thing that this man revealed was he is just talking about discussions that he and other evangelical leaders had with Republican Party officials or elected officials. It was a little bit murky in there, what he was trying to describe. And again, I just have to rewatch it. But what he called a quote unquote deal with the devil. And the reason why the Supreme Court justices were such a focus was because of Roe.
Mm-hmm.
And what the evangelicals were going in and saying, we want Roe overturned. We want it overturned. We want it overturned. We want it overturned. These sort of the anti-abortion fanatics, right?
Right.
And the Republican Party said, okay, we're going to give it to you. Right. Or I want to be careful. I don't know the Republican Party, whoever he's saying he met with was like, who had the power to do this. And it looks like big money donors as well. We have the power to do this. We'll give it to you, but you have to have our back for all the other stuff that we're going to do. Now you roll that back and you look at that. And let's say there's any validity to this. You're looking at, oh, no wonder these pastors did not turn on the kids being ripped away from their mothers and being thrown into cages. Because I know my father is a minister, and my dad, I've never seen him so distraught as when that was going on. I've never seen him so distraught. And this is a man who actually did preach the gospel and knows what it is and understands what that was all about. And he couldn't function. He couldn't believe we were doing this. And that the white evangelical, I keep saying white because it's important to distinguish that the white evangelical community was all in on the babies in cages and taking them from their mothers and their.
Yeah. I mean, the deal with the devil is power coalitions. And they decided this was going to be the coalition. Yeah. And if the Republicans wanted their tax cut and they wanted to, hate on immigrants and everything else, and they, that was, it appears that was the compromise. And it's really
Survivor. Mark Burnett has been producing this from the get-go since pre-Trump. It was like, we're going to form an alliance, and that's it. And we're going to have to hold our nose, and it's going to be horrible, but we'll each get what we want out of this.
Or not. Because not everybody survives, right? On Survivor.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that as someone who's an Italian American and who is a confirmed, if lapsed Catholic, I'm fucking embarrassed by Alito. I nicknamed him Alico on Twitter when this thing came out because I think he's probably the source for all this shit, right? But if you were making a movie about a corrupt judge, that's what it would be. It would be that guy. If you've seen like the clips of him talking, it's like, no, he looks like that. Like he even looks like what he is. And he's both an asshole and dumb. And I like to think that, there's only 9 of these people that are given these jobs. Why can't we find someone? At least Scalia was smart, Did I say it right? Yeah. The guy that died in the
yes.
Alito, these guys are fucking boneheads. Like it's really just awful. And I don't know what we can do about it, but this ethics thing, I have a hunch it's going to go to the Supreme Court and get overturned. So what we need to do is expand the fucking court, and they need to take this seriously, because the lone, I think, the most dangerous obstacle to the preservation of our democracy is that in the next 2 years, like Biden winning re-election, and then something happens where they try to fuck with it, and then the court rules with the insurrectionists. Like that's something that could happen unless we change the fucking makeup of this court in 2 years. We have to do that.
It's amazing to me how much the buzzword, disruption is still, in play. It's still part of the vocabulary. Yet when anyone wants to touch the Supreme Court, the same folks are, oh, we can't do that. Look, the composition of, and even the tenure, the length of terms, not the the way the Constitution is written, it's up to Congress to decide how many members of the Supreme Court will be, because they don't say.
Yep.
But it says that they'll hold their offices for life, but the term of each office is not specified in the Constitution. And I really don't appreciate the sort of hot potatoes of, well, we can't make the Supreme Court have ethics rules or recuse or whatever. It's like, you have a lot more power of Congress than you think. And I don't know how to do this other than what you all are doing and what the public is doing. There's tremendous public awareness now about how corrupt the Supreme Court is. And people are finally waking up to the fact that it's been kind of bullshit all along to say that say that the Supreme Court justices are not at all partisan or based on politics. Their selection. The selection of justices has always been a partisan political project. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter who the president was. It always comes up. The president is choosing the justices. It matters who's in the Senate. I know historically, way back when, there used to be confirmations where it was like, 80-20 or whatever for justices. Well, it hasn't been that way for decades. It's down to complete party lines. Also, judges state by state are elected in most states. So this idea that people who sit on the bench are somehow immune from the political process is nonsense, even when they serve for life. Now, some people will say
that the bench somehow, as soon as you get in there, it's
right.
It all goes away.
Some people
today is the day that Alito became a judge. Like Van
so
Jones would say.
If we have the selection process be that way, then they're going to say, oh, no, we just follow the Constitution. We just call balls and strikes. Whatever you do, whatever your philosophy was before you got in there that attracted a political party to you is going to still be your philosophy after. So
that's right.
So I don't, I don't know why people. So when I went to law school, that's how I saw this. And it's kind of shocking to me so many years later that people are like, oh, I'm shocked to find out that a justice who people paid millions of dollars, and when there's $1 billion behind getting certain justices on the Supreme Court, I'm surprised that they're not just like a computer that's parsing the words of the Constitution and spitting out answers. I mean, you couldn't even do that. I don't know. I just,
I would add this to what you just said. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would add this to what you said, that there does appear to be another layer going here, though, in that it does appear that these justices that were from Alito to Kavanaugh to Gorsuch to Kavanaugh to Coney Barrett were in league with an agenda.
Yeah.
That's a different flavor. It's not like, okay, maybe this one over here is, has these beliefs, and this one over here, okay, I'm a Republican, so I'm going to align myself Democrat. What's starting to come out now, and whether it will have be grounded in reality and have teeth, and we'll be able to see evidence of this, is that these people are part of a project, or they wouldn't have been selected to begin with. And there are folks who have architected, created an architecture, created a framework for, this is how we're actually going to, and what our goal is to overturn the progress that has been made by what we perceive to be our social political enemies, right? An adversarial force of giving things like equal rights, gay marriage, the whole thing, right? Starting back at Roe versus Wade, and especially with voting rights, workers' rights, the whole thing, that kind of society is not a society that we want, and we're going to roll it back.
Yes.
These are the people who have signed on to that agenda, and it's been in the works for years.
Right. And that agenda, you're absolutely right. That's, dismantling the administrative state, right? They hate going back to FDR. And to be clear, you don't need to have a conspiratorial mind to make this observation. People say that's what they're doing. I mean, if you don't like the systems that are in place now to help create a safety net for the poor, to create, to create agencies that help enforce the laws against employment discrimination, on and on and on. If you don't like that, then you are going to follow the line of thinking in the scholarly literature, and you're going to be taught it in law school because you're going to gravitate toward that, claiming that it's not constitutional. This is in wide open. It's not a big mystery to people who actually are paying attention.
Right.
And you're raising this, you're saying it is so important because it just doesn't get discussed, Stephanie.
It doesn't get discussed. I mean, God bless Sheldon Whitehouse for again there trying to show the scheme, right? Of like, this has been years in the making. They to overturn precedent, which is what it's all based on, unless we can codify things into law, which just happened in part, in a big part, and I would say 80%, with the marriage equality, right? Is, when we're just relying on Supreme Court precedent, then the goal is, how do you overturn precedent? And they know they have to push cases up to the Supreme Court. It's not going to happen on the first case. It's not going to happen on the second case. We'll probably get there by the third if we can get this sort of rulings going like this. So that's why it takes so much planning and orchestration and money to fund all of this. So this is what I mean. It's like everybody's signed on to knowing, okay, this case is coming. And then you have these clerks. Oh my God, I could go on about this. We have to move on. But clerks, the way the clerks play a part in all of this, and then these lower circuit judges and their roles in actually funneling clerks up because they know they have cases coming in front of them and they have certain expertise, and they land them with Thomas if it's the 11th Circuit or whatever circuit they're in. The judges, the Supreme Court justices, they have these sort of funnels, right, of clerks that get funneled to them, not out of law school anymore, but from the actual other.
Right. You don't go to the U.S. Supreme Court straight from law school. You have to have clerked for a circuit
judge. Yeah.
Before.
And those
or district court, but usually circuit court, I think.
Right. Yeah. And so there's now these funnels so that these clerks come up and they can just write, they know the case came here. Now I'm up with Justice Thomas. I'm going to take a cut, paste. Here we go. And now we're moving this. Like, I
don't know if that part, I don't even think that part needs to happen. Like, I'm assuming if that's fine, but this is the whole system for applying to and becoming a clerk in federal court, that whole system, and who wants to do it. You're not getting any, you're not getting disruptors. You're not getting innovators. You're not getting reformers. Or if they're there, the people who do, and some of my friends are incredible people, clerked at the U.S. Supreme Court and so on, but they had to actually hide who they really were. Or they're just, I can't describe exactly what I'm talking about, but there's such conformism in the way law is taught. Even if you might think someone's a progressive or liberal in terms of their policy or thinking, there's so much conformism in the way you even look at judicial texts. And no one would dare question some of the fundamental issues. Even this idea of packing the court doesn't even come up in law school. You're supposed to just look at what's in front of you. And it's very, I can't even, that's a whole other topic.
So that cultural belief extends all the way up to how we then perceive, and lawyers especially, I would think, and prosecutors and looking at the Supreme Court and saying, no, they're just looking at what's right in front of them because that's what we do. And that's actually not what's going on anymore. And the more we can keep raising the alarm about that and saying this is a serious issue, I think the better. All right. That was 15 minutes for our
Supreme Court right now, as John Roberts likes to say, the Supreme Court right now is calling balls and strikes. But if you're a woman up at bat and the ball hits you in the fucking head, they call that a strike. And that's the problem that we're having right now. Like, everything's starting to break down. So, okay, enough on that. We have to go to the next topic, which is announcements. We have announcements.
All right, Jen, stick with us through announcements, and then we'll do a quick topic.
Okay, I like announcements.
All right, here's our announcement.
I've got a couple things. We need to have a shout out. Thank you to everybody who subscribed, who joined, who did the super sticker thing. We really appreciate it. We have a lot of new members, LB, this week, so I'm going to read them all.
We read them all. Jen, we read our new members.
I'm going to resist the temptation to read it as Nunzio Ciccarelli. So there you go. Big thank you to, oh God, I'm going to butcher your name. Shija, I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. Scott Samuelson, Barbara Black, Maxwell, Lee G, Andrea Hildebrand Smith, RN Judy Florida, True Player. Thanks for all the help, True Player. We appreciate it. Appreciate you. Carolyn Garman, Kim Blair, Gal Suburban, come on now. Thank you. Jean Schapp, Sinawi, Cynthia Mason, Monique Ponso, my friend, I love her. Cheryl Filicus, hi Cheryl. Thank you. Joan McGee Qualls, EOB 727, Planet Navajo, Robin Podway, Amy S. Grateful, Danny Hulse, what's up, Danny? Susan Holloway, Robert Reynolds, Jay Rance, Willa, hello, Ian Allison, Leslie Rossenberger in the green room with us. Thank you, Leslie. NMO to go, Chris Soderquist, Jane S., Insider Films. Hey, Insider Films, what's going on, man? Liddell Abbott and Paulina. Hi, guys. So thank you
so much
for joining. We appreciate you. Thanks for not only joining, but coming in and having, there's always a great conversation going on in this chat room. We have the smartest chat room on all of YouTube.
I do believe we have the smartest chat room because I have to go back and look at all their chats to put them up there. And I'm like, oh my God.
We do. And now I have one more announcement. Okay.
Yes.
I don't want to brag. I'm going to brag a little bit. Okay.
Oh, good. I love when you brag.
People know this. My mother calls me at 10 o'clock in the morning, like the other day. And I was like, oh no, has Dad died? Why is she calling me? And no, she wants me to know that I've been mentioned on Fox News. And,
ooh.
Yeah, it's true. Look at me there. Look at that shit.
Oh my God, jealous.
Yeah, I know, right? Greg Gutfield, Gutless, this fucking guy, right after like a really funny original comic set in which he like made fat jokes at the expense of Anna Navarro. What a clever comic this guy is. He's trying to here, I think, explain that we on the left are all in cahoots because we all tweeted something that Elon Musk is the world's richest man, because that's, even though everyone describes him as that, he's not. Putin is, but whatever. So that's why I'm here.
You're coordinating your messaging. Is that there's a secret society? Is this what's happening?
Yes, by being accurate and calling.
Justices. Yeah,
that's what he's trying to suggest. Okay. My paycheck from George Soros didn't clear. By the way, the reason the Republicans blame everything on George Soros is because Putin has been blaming everything on George Soros since like 2002. By the way,
Greg,
was unaware,
don't you know Soros pays in Bitcoin? If you'd only opened your Coinbase account.
Oh, no, I have the one with the guy that's in the thing.
Yeah, I don't even have any Bitcoin, so I don't know.
I used to write a lot about the forces of that were at work in the era that the whole George Soros thing happened, just not in a very direct way in my writing, but sometime we'll do I should do a breakdown of that.
It's a Putin thing.
Yeah.
It
is very much a Putin thing. It has everything to do with the person he was working with as well. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Okay, one last thing on this, and then we'll move on, is that I had in my tweet bullshit level, and they blacked out where it says bullshit. They smudged the word bullshit on Fox News. You're not allowed to say bullshit. You're only allowed to spew bullshit.
You know why you can't say that on Fox News?
What?
Competition.
With horseshit, which is what they spew.
Yeah,
exactly.
Competition with horseshit. All right.
Horseshit. Yeah. Okay. So there's some more announcements. Are we gonna? First of all, remind everybody we're playing the game. Who dies in White Lotus?
Right. White Lotus. There's a lot of people put things in, so we have a lot of things. Thanks everybody for participating. Oh, right. You say it. I've been talking too much.
No, you haven't. My God. We have a store.
We have a store.
We have a store.
Wait, you have merch?
We have
merch. There's going to be, if you're in like one level, I think it's Velvet Rope and up, you get a discount, which we have not figured out how to do yet. So
give us one more day.
Yeah.
But you will be able to order in time for Christmas gifts and holiday gifts.
What?
And we'll blast it out on Twitter and let everybody know. I think the store is open. I just don't know. I personally don't know how to find
what? I need to know the types of merch.
Well, there's very cozy sweatshirts and t-shirts.
There it is.
And coffee.
Thanks, report.
There we go. Spread shop. There we go. Okay. The 5-8. I think she just put the admin though on it.
No, that's the site. That's the site.
Okay.
I tested it. It works.
Okay, good. Yeah. And it's logged in, and they're not giving me the design layout that I want yet. So I got to fight a little bit with this place. I was maneuvering, but anyway, the merch is good and it's there. It is good merch. I did all my.
Oh.
There's pajamas. You know,
I like
I've got
that.
some
I like the 8
pajamas.
ball.
The 8
Oh,
ball is there. Sometimes it's on the back, sometimes it's here.
there's a dog bandana.
There's a dog bandana. There's a little hemp bag, for whatever you might want to carry around your little hemp bag. So there's some goodies in there and a coffee mug
Ooh.
because Greg needed a coffee mug. When
Yeah.
we can get this store, because this is the one that works the best with YouTube, when we can get them and maybe petition them to start getting some barware, we're going to roll out some barware for you guys as well.
We need barware. It's
We
really
need
essential.
barware. Yeah.
Okay. Enough announcements.
That's
We're going to be
right.
really quick on this. I don't want to talk about. I don't even.
We don't want to talk
spend
about
8
this
minutes
last
on it.
topic. It's awful.
Elon Musk this week went into the Twitter files and tried to do this thing and looked around with his vast wealth and said, I can get any journalist at my beck and call. I'll pick this guy who's so Russian up. He literally has a podcast called Useful Idiots. He's the one that will do this for me. And Taibbi's, like, his Twitter, like, his picture, his avatar is him. I think it's him. Maybe it's not. It's a baseball player. And it's like, you might as well have swing and a miss, because that's what this fucking Twitter files thing is. It's a nothing burger. And if anything, it proves, even though they're trying to prove the opposite, that Twitter previously was discriminating against liberal accounts and promoting things like libs of TikTok, keeping them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called content moderation, and they were doing it, but they were.
Oh, we lost Jen. Oh, Jen, we lost you. Say it again.
I'm here. Sorry, I was saying, they were doing content moderation, which they were supposed to be doing, and it's beyond a nothing burger. There was something on The Onion tonight. My kid was reading me at dinner saying that Twitter should have, the big mistake was that Twitter announced the Twitter files on Twitter, and they should have done that on TikTok because Twitter's dying.
Oh, I love it.
That's why it's going nowhere. It's like, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing. I used to like Matt Taibbi back in his Vampire Squid days, and I didn't realize he'd had this whole history of questionable activity, let's put it that way, in Russia, and misogyny and so on. I really liked his book, The Divide, and then it was right around then when I realized, that he's never made amends for what he's done, and what do you think of him, Stephanie? Do you think he's in someone's pocket because of compromise, or why is he the way he is with Russia?
I think if you're somebody who was running around dick out in the 90s in Russia as part of some news organization, right, or doing whatever the fuck he was doing, and then you come back and you're doing this, you end up at this place with Elon Musk running this. Clearly running a sideshow information op that maybe somebody's got some goods on you. If you're in the club, you're in the club. That's right. And look, all you have to do, everybody, is just watch who for the last couple of years Bill Maher keeps floating as his sort of heroes, from Barry Weiss to Jordan Peterson to Matt Taibbi. This is all these people are, whether they're doing it just for themselves because they figured out this is how they can make more money and be chaos agents, or somebody's pulling their strings or telling them you're going to go do this. I don't know.
At one point, he did a bit of remember the mea culpa he did after the invasion of Ukraine? Because he was like telling everyone the U.S. was full of shit. And then he did a small mea culpa on that, I thought. No?
Yeah, but now he's doing this. So
okay.
This is not, look, if Elon Musk wanted to, I was on a Twitter Spaces with Brianna Wu and a guy named Ricini, who is one of the angel investors into some Elon Musk companies and some others. And he's just taken it hardcore to Elon lately, and rightfully so, because he's coming from the perspective of investor, and also, what the fuck are you doing? Is this also transparent? And they made an amazing point on there that is, it's getting glossed over and left behind by journalists who should be, in my opinion, making this point over and over again. Mm-hmm. If Elon Musk was really interested in actually exposing something and having journalism do this for him and do that proper vetting and do proper investigations, and you want it to be independent, I understand that. You don't want to hand it over to something. There are plenty of investigative journalism. There's consortiums. There's whole teams of people. You can give it to several different independent parties, hand it to everybody and say, okay, as a group, go for it. The fact that he's picking these these two highly volatile individuals with this incredible connections themselves, at least with Matt, with the Kremlin and history in Moscow and all that. And like, it's so shady, and it's so, that's the part that's so transparent. And
right.
Weiss, who made Jordan Peterson what he is, right? The two of them are tied at the hip with their sort of intellectual dark web, and she, brought all this. So it's like, come on, it's trolling for trolls, for the troll shit, for the far right. It's just, and look, let's all really be honest about what this whole thing is about. This was supposed to be that Hunter's laptop, whatever the fuck, was supposed to be the October surprise.
Right.
And no one would carry it except for the New York Post. It just didn't happen. It's like, stop trying to make fetch happen, right? It was sketchy. We now know it was Durkach, right? Who was part of an actual Russian intelligence services dude that was behind pushing all of this. We just had his indictment unsealed at different parts of it he just was indicted for money laundering. And now we can see all that, which is smacking of organized crime in there as well. So these are the worst actors who had a clear agenda, who wanted Donald Trump to win. They thought this was the thing that was going to, be this big surprise. It's Giuliani, Ban, and Roger Stone. It's the whole fucking crew. And it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And they can't believe, that their thing, their October surprise, their little political, playing my games and pulling my levers. They just can't believe it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't just use Maggie Haberman the way they've always used Maggie Haberman. They just couldn't believe it couldn't work. And so now Elon is resuscitating all of that. He's bringing it all back, right? And here's these weirdo journalists who are going to make it happen for him, and it's not working again.
No one. It's not working. It's boring. It's also, last time I checked, Hunter Biden was not an elected official. And
he's not in the administration. He's not a secret advisor with a double special security clearance.
And also, we don't like revenge porn. Like, this is not the world. And look at, it's really hard, to be a person in the world, and you don't choose if your parents are going to be elected officials. And I don't think it's great when people capitalize on their parents' work. But that's what the Trump kids did. And to the extent that's what Hunter did, something to talk about. But like the idea that that's going to affect our view of someone running for office, we all have been someone's children. And I'm sure some of our things we've done, our parents aren't happy about. And, I want my kids to have space to grow up and do what they do. And, if anything, Joe Biden looks like a hell of a lot better father than Donald Trump does. That's what comes across with this. It's like every time you talk about Hunter Biden, we're like, have you seen what Donnie's up to?
Yeah, it's all kind of crazy.
And I just want to make this one quick point, Greg, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Let me just switch my mic.
He also has addiction issues, and
true.
There's a thing that folks are latching onto of, well, he said he's going to kick 10% up to the big guy. It's like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't ever been around someone who's an addict, right? Or has addiction issues, and they're telling shit. And especially if they have a famous parent or a connection to something, and that doesn't mean that the person that is their parent that loves them has any idea what they're up to try to, run their bullshit lie racket.
You're so right. I can just hear so many people. That's a kind of the bullshit, right? Yes.
That's the bullshit. Okay, we're gonna know that this guy's this, whatever they're gonna. It's this this dissonance around. You can't say an out of control addict, blah blah blah, and that's what's so horrible about him, and then somehow say, but everything he's saying about this 10% is legitimate. It's like, you can't. That doesn't work, everybody. And that's also why it's falling flat, is so many people have addiction in their family systems, and they know what they're looking at, and they know how many lies are involved in all of that as well, and how much scheming and how much bullshitting. And come on. So I think for that reason. And then the other great big thing is, we had a lot of reporting, even from back in the Jack Dorsey era, in the Trump era, that they weren't taking down they weren't going after, you talk to the extremist reporters who are like, Twitter is a cesspool for these fucking Nazis that we're reporting on. They wouldn't flag these folks. They wouldn't censor them the way that the terms of service might say, not censor, but strike them, suspend their accounts or take action.
Right.
Because it was so tied, and Republican Party members as well, that were violating the terms of service. And we are like, they're violating the terms of service. Like, yeah, but they're so tied into clicks and stuff that'll affect our business model. We can't do that. We can't just go after the Nazis because they're in there with the party, and then we would be going after the party.
Right. They never got rid of all the trolls and all the bots because that generated so much
traffic.
attention. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's forgotten about, in this, we're also asked to forget about 4 years of hell that we all witnessed and watched and went through of these conservatives, from party officials to elected officials to the full-on flaming Nazis running amok on that platform without any kind of, and now just because they're crying. I've never seen a group of this whole MAGA thing, this whole Charlie Kirk, whatever the fuck, whatever you want to call all these people. I have never seen something so emotionally vast and impoverished and shallow at the same time. It's just like they're hysterical, and then they're angry, and then they're and then they're whoa. There's a
it's like really bad infomercials you see in the middle of the night. But
this is emotional fucking poverty.
Yes,
this is what we're dealing with here.
They're just. The only good thing is that no one's the chaos. I mean, stripping aside all the that this is bullshit and they're creating chaos. I still, Musk. The question is Musk going to last in this role, running Twitter? Are the investors going to say enough is enough? Do they want to make money, or do they want to make chaos? Do they want to make money, or do they want to dismantle this place where reasonable voices and progressive ideas can be heard? I haven't decided yet. I don't know. What do you think?
B and B.
No, I don't.
I wrote this. I wrote a thing on October 28th before the takeover with a long paragraph saying what he was going to do, and he's done. He hasn't let Flynn back on yet, but he's done every single thing that I said he would do. So to create chaos and to destroy it. Like if they wanted to make money, they picked the wrong fucking guy. He's a fraud, and he's not going to monetize this place. It was in trouble anyway. It was in trouble before, and it was run much better. Like, having this guy that can barely function without people running after him is not going to help. Oh no, LB, you froze brief. Okay, you're back. I think you're back. You froze for a split second. Okay, we're running late. I have one last thought to add. Okay, go. And then wait.
Is that RB8 behind you?
Is it a what?
Is that, sorry, I know you have my book, but LB, is that Star Wars creature behind you?
No, these are my Christmas candles. I don't have, but I do have Star Wars robots. I like to bring them down. And sometimes, a couple Christmases ago, I had a little too much Christmas cheer, and I put my robots down on my bathroom floor and I played with them for live on Twitter.
That sounds fun.
I remember that.
We had a lightsaber. We had a lesson from Yoda. He taught us how to be a Jedi for a little bit.
I do remember that. That was fun.
Sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to cut
Big
you off
Dirty
when
Money
you're
by
promoting
Jen
my
Taub
book.
is a fantastic book. Your podcast is called Booked Up, so everybody go subscribe to that, please.
And also, you don't have to. With this one, you just follow. We don't have a subscription option yet, so it's free. Please follow.
Just click the little button, man. That's it.
That's it.
Downloads and get your stuff.
Do you know who my next guest is, you guys?
Who?
Michael Cohen.
You said that.
We've already recorded. It's going up on Sunday.
That's going to be fun.
He needs to unblock me. I was very naughty a long time ago. Back when he was still carrying Donald's water, I said some things.
I will ask him to unblock you.
All right, have him unblock me. I've had his back a little bit here. As his lawyer, our dear friend, a friend of the show, Andy Loffer can attest. So
okay, I'm going to work on that.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. I could have just asked him. And I'm asking you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Last note about the Hunter Biden thing, and I apologize in advance because this is going to get a little bit sordid.
Okay.
But sorted is what they wanted, right? Back in October, whenever it was, they released that story that only played in the New York Post. And I read the story, I went online, I looked at the pictures, okay? Objectively speaking, the takeaway from that is this guy is like Dirk Diggler, which means Biden is like Dirk Diggler. And we know from Stormy Daniels that their alpha mega guy, Donald Trump, ain't. And I don't give a shit about this, but they do. And that's what makes it so weird. And I think just creepy and strange and the whole thing. So that's it. You know, I think that's also one of the reasons why this story didn't take. I think their side was like, we don't want to show this picture. We don't want to show any of this stuff. It's weird. These people are strange.
It is very
and they go
weird.
in these weird, dark areas. And what they think is an own isn't really an own. That's all. That's all. I felt like we have to say that because that's go look at the pictures, man.
I'm not
that was
looking at
my
the pictures.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, don't
I don't
look
need
at the
to.
I don't need to do that.
But that's the takeaway. As an intrepid journalist, what do they say on Twitter? I looked at the pictures so you don't have to.
Oh, God bless you. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, maybe the same reason that Ye freaked out on Pete Davidson. So there's a lot of insecurity going around with Republican men and conservative men.
And that's the point. It's like this whole weird thing that I don't quite understand.
You know what we'll do? We'll bring our buddies that are on the extremist beat. We'll bring them on the show and we'll ask them, what is this obsession that these right-wing trolls, right? Because that's what it is. This is 4chan troll board level stuff, right? Why are they so obsessed with this one particular area? And see, maybe we can get some answers. I don't know. Or not.
I don't know either.
Or
All
not.
I'm saying
You don't
is,
have to do that.
you know, it's I don't know. We leave it up to our audience. So
I'm trying to think of the legal angle, and I don't really know at this point, other than the fact that yeah, anyhow. I won't.
They don't want it. Ew.
Well, you know, there is such. I mean, that's what they are. You know, that's the whole thing. So, I don't know. It's all very strange. I'm glad that I'm not a member of that group. I'm glad that we're all not members of that group.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I was here with you guys tonight, and not like I don't know, putting a mask on my face and walking around to protest some drag show with my AR-15 in some horrible state. You know, because this is more fun. It's better.
It's better.
It's better.
We have more fun.
We do. Okay,
this
Jen,
when you start playing K Sarah Sarah's my walk-off music? Or...
Yeah.
I think I can do that.
No.
No, but we do have exit music for you. Not to worry. We have our music ready.
We do have our music ready.
Okay.
Jen, thanks for sticking around, although maybe now you regret it.
No, it's fun.
So wait, Jen,
all right.
People are going to find you on always on Twitter, but you are on Mastodon as well. And then are you on Post? Are you doing that?
Yes, I'm on Post.
Okay, you're on Post too. And do you have a Substack?
I don't have a Substack, so I think I'm on Mastodon, I'm on Post, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Booked Up with Jen Taub. I'm on your show right now.
You're on our show right now. Booked Up is where we want everyone to go to. We want you to download. We want you to listen. That's what we want our audience.
And LB is going to be on the show, so we will be hyping that soon. I just have to book her. We haven't officially gotten her the date and all that. You know,
we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
You'll have my people call your people. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.